What is poppin' squad? It's your boy Jesimein. Today we're talking about nerfs, buffs, and changes that we personally feel needs to come to this game. So before I get into this, man, and I always say before I get into this because I know the naysayers will come in. This is my opinion. This is what I personally think, and reason I'm doing this is to like drive discussion. We want to see it in the comments. I want to see what you guys think. So I'm just gonna randomly go through all the gear sets, talk about how they are in the game. We're going to talk about whether they're good or not, and we're going to pretty much discuss whether or not that they are in a good place or in a bad place and what changes could come. So let's get in it. Let's start with my first loadout. So we have Striker classified. There's three ways to really run this build. Obviously, you can run the max stamina way, you can run the perfect balance way, or you can run the more firearms with less stamina and kind of rely on the heal. So there's those three ways pretty much everybody's running them. They're either running them with hardcore assault rifles or the house. That's pretty much it. I don't see people really running it with any other sub. If they're using a sub, it's pretty much the house. Let's get into the actual details for those who don't know, even though you should know at this point. What makes this gear set super powerful and changes it is the 6-piece bonus. And that's because the stacks. So not necessarily the health itself is in any way, shape, or form broken. I don't think the healing's crazy. I think the healing's at a perfect position. I honestly feel like if you get 100 stacks, you should get as much healing as you can get, period, whatever, period. But what makes it actually extremely strong, it's the missing shots part. So missing shot drops the bonus damage from striker battle gear by 1%, and the bonus is reduced by 2% every second. This alone makes the 4-piece trash compared to the 6-piece, because every time you drop, it drops by 2%, and it may seem like, okay, that's only 1%, dude. The difference is insane. This, from the 4-piece to the 6-piece, keeping an 80 stack either becomes impossible with the 4-piece or it becomes normal with the 6-piece. That's how much of a difference that 1% is, for those people who don't understand. The 6-piece is what makes Striker really good. So is Striker OP? Is Striker broken? I don't think Striker's OP. I think it's only OP in the hands of Striker shotgun people, but I don't think as a gear set, I think it finally, you know, got some love, and it's finally worth using. You know what I'm saying? It has its buffs, it has its flaws, and whatever sense, however, whatever flaw you want to bring out. But for the most part, I think the skill players and the people who still play the game will think that this is by far the most skill-based good build out of the game. So is Striker in a good place? I think it is in a good place. The only change I would do is something revolving around the shotguns and maybe a 0.5 tweak to the stacks. Maybe, because it's kind of easy to keep your stacks up. I don't know. That's kind of preference. That's give or take. So that's pretty much Striker. I think Striker's in a good place. It should not be nerfed. So going to the next gear set, well, that matters is Nomad. So Nomad. We all know Nomad. We know the 6-piece pretty much is ridiculous. You're going to be able to survive in crazy situations. Although people say it's broken, I really don't feel that proc happens. Well, with me personally, it doesn't happen as much as people make it complain as if they're immortal. If you're getting through 1 or 2 procs, that goes to show you that you're actually murdering that Nomad, and there's a reason behind that, because you're doing so much damage with either your Striker or your Pred or anything. So if you can get them past their stacks of health, then that means obviously your build is way stronger in that sense, because most Nomads are tanky. So Nomad, the only change I would do, like let's say I had to nerf it. If I had to nerf Nomad, the way I would do it is I would possibly make the 6-piece only work when you're solo. I think that's the best tweak that doesn't kill the gear set as a whole. Honestly, to me, the overheal is way more than enough. The overheal itself feels like a 6-piece bonus to me. So in a group situation, I feel if they were to nerf, if they had to nerf, you know what I'm saying? If they had to, that would be the only thing I would change from this build, is make it only proc solo. And I think if you're solo, to buff it for solo players, I think it should be raised back to 60% or whatever it was at before they nerfed the cooldown. You should be able to have a fighting chance as a solo player. So I think this would truly make it a solo player build, that it's buffed for solo players. You see what I'm saying? So, or they can keep it the same if they feel it's like that, but just buff the bonus for solo players. When you're solo, I don't know, you get something, just something involving health, more health on kill, or primarily I would say more chance of that Nomad, or actually a shorter cooldown. Maybe a shorter cooldown, like I don't know, like 3 minutes instead of 4 for a solo player. It may be annoying, but I mean, it gives a solo player a fighting chance in a server where there could be a 4 team rocking the best build. So As far as Nomad, that's kind of how I would look at it. Pretty much, for me, there's only one way to run Nomad, and that's as tanky as possible so that your overheal is the best. So I don't really see any other way that can really break the build, but that's pretty much that. So Nomad should be tweaked. It should not be nerfed. It should not be buffed in group situations. It should be buffed as a solo situation, but it should be maybe tweaked a little bit to favor more solo play so that there's actually solo builds out there. Yeah, so that's Nomad. Let's go into Tacticians next. Oh my god, don't even get me started on this build. So with the hype, everybody thinking that one-shot sticky is going to be back, and everybody saying it is back, it's not back. Tactician Authority, it doesn't have a place in this meta for me, besides supporting. I feel that the skill haste, if you're going to make a build that's based around skill power and that really can't get the damage capabilities that any other build can get, and they strictly rely on their heals, I feel either the skill power needs to be buffed on Tactician immensely to a point where people are dedicated electronics, because electronics is still useless. Even with Tactician build, it almost still feels useless. There's no room for it in this meta for me. If I were to change Tactician, I would make it so that the skill power actually really means something when you're running this build, so that maybe possibly you get supercharged skills, or maybe you just have such a great heal that keeps coming back way faster than just, even in this meta, I feel even if you have like 15-second, 12-second cooldown, it's still too slow when you're getting bled over and over, or when you're getting ramshacked by a striker, or even trying to out sustain a Nomad. So how would I tweak this? I'm not really sure. I think honestly it should always be a 60 stack minimum. I feel that's the only way where it'll be actually worth using, because when it's no stack, the build is completely useless compared to other builds. As a healer, most people would rather run Final Measure Healer than actually have utility behind their heals and just roll full electronics and be able to survive Predator Bleeds, because they have exotic damage resistance and survive nades and give teams buffs and stuff. So it's like, if you're gonna run a support build, you might as well run a Final Measure build anyways. That's kind of how I see it. I don't see anything other than that. There's no point to add any damage to the build that's not the build itself. It has to be revolved around electronics. So how I would tweak it is I would either change the skill haste cap somehow, like buff the skill haste where you don't have to. I shouldn't have to put skill haste mods on this build, or even roll skill haste. That's how I feel. I feel I should get max skill haste no matter how I run it. That may sound crazy, but I mean, there's a lot of crazier things in this meta. So that's Tactician. Pretty much how I wouldn't nerf it. Obviously, it's too low as is, but I would buff it to the sense that it either skill haste gets tweaked, the skill power itself gets tweaked, or it gives you some phenomenal new feature that I can't even think off the top of my head. So that's pretty much Tactician. Let's go to Predator's Mark. Okay, so Predator's Mark. To some people it's overtuned, to some people it's okay, to some people they don't really care about it because they have Striker and Nomad. So Predator's Mark came off in the PTS as super broken, the most broken build. There's no point in playing the game. It's ridiculous. 9,000 stamina and melting people who want to play that game. And to an extent, it is really strong in some situations, especially when there's multiple. It can feel overpowered in a sense, but playing with it against an optimized Striker, optimized Nomad, you kind of feel why the developers left it as is, and they kind of designated it. Because if they were to make, let's say, this was my way of saying it, my original thing was like, Predator's Mark should just burn through anybody. It should be 9,000 firearms to activate that talent, which sounds surreal, I know, but guess what? It will make them squishy, and it will make them basically, it will be a designated glass cannon build, and people don't want that because they don't want the crazy amount of damage it'll be able to put out. Because if it was able to be 9,000 firearms with that bleed, you may just absolutely annihilate people. But the catch is, if you get caught slipping, for you to invest 9,000 firearms, that means you have no toughness and no skill power. You can't heal yourself, and you will get burned down by even a Tactician build running 4,000 firearms. So it's kind of give or take. It's like either you focus a Predator or you die. End of story. Just like you have your situations when you're in team fights, you have to focus the healer or whatever. Predator would be the person you focus to not get damage, or you try to avoid that bleed, or somehow, some way. That's how I feel Predator should be tuned. It's not necessarily a buff or a nerf. I just feel that its stats should be relocated. It should not be a tanky melter, but it fits in right now because of how broken the other builds are. So I mean, in that sense, I guess it's okay, but primarily I would rather them have it into firearms where it's just a complete shredder build. So people who really want to melt can actually run a build that will absolutely shred, unless they kind of heal past it or take you out quick. So that's how I would change Predator's Mark. So as of right now, little overtuned maybe, broken no, but it can use some work. So let's go to Hunter's Faith just because I have it here. Hunter's Faith is I feel honestly it needs. Hunter's Faith is hard because if you bring anything one shot in the game, people will call broken, especially on PC. It's really hard to talk on this one as a console player, because the issue I come across running Hunter's Faith is I can't hit shots. I mean, you can land 1 or 2 shots, whatever. You run max firearms. If you're not headshotting somebody, you're not doing anything to them, and they will literally come back and melt you in like 5 bullets, because I only have 359 toughness when I run this 10,000 firearms build. But on PC, it may be a different story because people are way more accurate, and it could be a potential problem if it was to get buffed to one shot. So this is kind of hard. I guess it comes down to where the developers want sniping to be. Sniping has always been underrated until Deadeye made it superb. Like, I'm talking, when Deadeye first came out, it was surreal. You know, everybody cried, snipers shouldn't be that strong, which makes no sense because snipers are that strong. But, you know, people are going to complain about what they're going to complain about, period. But Hunter's Faith, I can't really speak on this one. I don't know if it needs a... If anything, it doesn't need a nerf because it feels underpowered to me. Even if I'm accurate, it's still underpowered. I mean, you're not going to land 4 or 5 headshots on a game where strafing and running around in circles and heals and all that stuff. You're not gonna be able to do that. But if it was one shot, it would be kind of cheesy for somebody just to get a lucky headshot and take you out. I feel like there needs to be some kind of rework in the sense for PvP. And like I said, I can't speak for console. I mean, I can't speak for PC, but I can speak for console, and console does not have the problem with aiming that people have on PC, because people are way more accurate on PC. So I don't know if it's necessarily intended as a PvE build, because if it is intended, like if the developers made this build say we want it to be primarily PvE, they did a good job. It works in PvE phenomenally. I mean, it's easy to hit shots and that's that. But if you were to take that to PvP, it would be kind of different. So I'm not sure. That's pretty much, that's really, really hard to put my finger on. So Hunter's Faith, I don't know. What do you guys think about Hunter's Faith? Let me know in the comments, because this is kind of a tough one. I'll just go to D3 because it's the last loadout I have. D3, I think D3 is in the perfect place. I have no problem with D3. D3 is an amazing support build. D3 shield works right. The damage is decent. Everything's fine. I think out of all of these so far, there's really no complaints about the shield builds. They are annoying, but they're not broken. They are really good on team because that defense buff is amazing. It comes in PvE. It comes... And it could be a little buff in PvE. I feel like it should come a little faster in PvE, but in PvP it works perfect. It comes quick because they're melting your shield. You get your teammates a buff. You're able to sustain damage. You get to be tanky. It literally plays a role how it is. So they should model all their builds around D3, because D3, in my opinion, is one of the most balanced sets in the game. So just for preference, we'll go into, I don't have full sets, but I'll go to Alpha Bridge Chest. I don't have Alpha Bridge, so I haven't played it, but I played in the PTS and they didn't really change much. But honestly, it's a no-brainer. Alpha Bridge needs a buff, without a doubt. This 6-piece is too much dedicated on skirmish matches and PvE situations. Alpha Bridge needs to bring back 6 talents easy. I'm gonna tell you, if I can change Alpha Bridge, health regen will switch to like crit hits give you health or something, or the set piece 2 will be it could double, just like I noticed. I think it was Marco Style who had a subscriber who mentioned, or the 6-piece can double the talents on a weapon. So, you know, deadly will give you 30%, or you know, something like that. It sounds crazy. It sounds super broken, but I mean, no matter what talent combination you do, you're not going to match up to 100% damage that Striker brings out anyway. So I guess that'll bring out some really cool synergies. Just imagine if you're able to have the house, and let's say Vicious gave you 20% crit chance and Deadly gave you 30% damage. You'll hit extremely hard, or you could switch and have Responsive, or I don't know how Unforgiving necessarily will work, or any other builds that work like that, but the ones that give you percentages and damage buff, like Determined or Skilled, things like that, it will be insane. And Alpha Bridge would have there would be so many builds you can make, dude, just built around weapons, that it would change the game. So I think that's a really good buff for it. At the end of the day, If I were to choose, I would say the double talent would be way better, more reasonable than the six talents. I mean, six talents, that's boring. We had that already. Give us Alpha Bridge, where the six piece doubles the amount of percentage that, or whatever that the stats on the guns give you, and that will actually be dope, and that will actually make Alpha Bridge amazing. You don't even have to change the health regen at that point. That six piece will literally make people use it, because people will try to do crazy combinations, and if you want diversity, Alpha Bridge would be the classified high end. Basically, it would be the new build for people who want to have, you know, different types, you know, different mix-ups. Just imagine, it'll make so many dead talents worth it. Like, you can probably even use, like, Iconic self-preserved could be better. There's a lot of things that we don't use that will possibly be amazing. And it could be a signature resource build where you just run around and farm for your ult, because you can get it in like 6 NPCs. There's just so many things you could do with Alpha Bridge, and I feel Alpha Bridge needs some love. So I don't know if I have a Firecrest. Oh, we'll talk about Deadeye. Okay, Deadeye's okay. I ran to a Deadeye the other day and it was pretty good. I missed the old Deadeye. I feel like maybe I don't mind if they bring back Deadeye where you don't have to be on cover, because of just how powerful the gear sets are. I think it deserves it. Deadeye, as far as stats and everything's fine for me. If I could choose, I would bring Deadeye's running gun style back, because we have a sniper build that's pretty much where you have to sit all the way back with full firearms, and that'll be Hunter's Faith. Deadeye can be, you know, it can be bolt action, but it can also be, you know, semi-automatic where you run and gun and have that kind of style like the SVD. You'll be able to use those kind of weapons, but you know, some people say that's too broken, but I actually enjoyed it. It was a good time for me. Sentry's Call. Sentry is bad to me. It's a PvE build. That 6-piece talent, it doesn't even do nothing for you in PvP, so I don't know. And just for you guys who, let's say you're like, okay, what about PvE situations? I'm not a PvE player, so I can't really speak on it, but for the most part, I think PvE is fine. There's nobody who's saying that you feel underpowered in PvE. Everybody feels OP no matter what build you run in PvE, so every build is good in PvE situation. I'm strictly talking PvP situations, Dark Zone, Skirmish, Last Stand, and all that junk. So Sentry needs a rework on the 6-piece. I would possibly, honestly, all they have to do is make this apply to players, and I think that'll change it. It'll be somebody basically weakening the other people so that they're able to, you know, do more damage, and it'll be kind of half support, half high damage, especially if you're using like an MDR, or if you're using like a semi-automatic like the Devil and the Heal. This will make this build 10 times better. What else gear set have we missed? Banshee. Okay, Banshee. Banshee's designed right, like they want a rogue policeman, basically. I just feel the set piece 2 bonus trash needs to change, and the set piece 5 bonus, like 5 and 2, that looted DZ funds, that needs to change to something. Give them, I don't know, man. I wish, you know what, 5% movement speed on both would not break the game, dude. Give us back 5% movement speed on both, just so they can chase down the rogues. And maybe you'll see some more people use it just because they want to either farm and get away or whatever. You know, 10% movement speed is not bad on it. I know the game can't handle it, but I'm pretty sure that 10% is not that bad. Maybe 20% wasn't bad. People were running around with defenses, so I'm sure they'll be able to do it. So give that a movement speed, change that, and, you know, the build will be good for a rogue policeman. For the most part, because it is extremely strong when you get a 5-piece manhunt. And let's say you're not the person that goes rogue, this build, it works for your favor. Like, you die, you get a big buff. That is still a big buff of damage. You get 20%, and you get that 2% per thing. Maybe that can change up just so you can eradicate manhunts, but I don't know. So Banshee is it's okay, but just change the DZ looted funds and we'll be good on that. Firecrest. Now, I don't have Firecrest. It sucks that I don't, because I actually wanted to try it like a flame build, but from what I heard, people don't, I don't hear people complaining about it. It is a CC build. There's just no real problem about it. Only thing I would change is the set piece 2 bonus. Like, nobody cares about fire nades. I'll get rid of fire nades and add, I don't know, okay, it already has range, already has damage. I would kind of, you know what, I don't know. I'm not sure what I would do with that. Or, you know what, the set piece doom bonus can just increase the chance of wildfire. Maybe it could just be like a little wildfire buff where you have more chance of burning everybody, because it seems like that is pretty low. It may sound crazy and it may be annoying, but I think that would pretty much, I mean, if you're dedicating yourself to CC and not damage and not healing, that's pretty much what it should do. So I mean, incendiary grenade capacity, no, you can't unless you can restock grenades. Unless you can restock fire grenades, I don't think that it's even worth it. Nobody runs around, I'm gonna go try to find me an incendiary grenade. No, that's not how it works. So that's the only thing I would change for Firecrest. Other than that, Firecrest is pretty good, dude. As far as what it's supposed to do, which is CC. Lone Star. Lone Star is good. But if I were to change Lone Star, I would just make it all weapon damage instead of just LMG and shotguns. I would make it so that it can open up the field to everything for people who just want to go berserk. It may be a little OP in some senses because you have a lot of ammo and you know just spray, but I think it will make it, because LMGs are so underpowered and shotguns are slaves to strikers. So I mean, there's no point in having shotgun damage on it. Nobody's really gonna use it for a shotgun build, other than the Cassidy or whatever. So that's pretty much all I would do to Lone Star, because Lone Star is actually really cool. Maybe just maybe you can add like more chance to getting the baby tack link, but I don't know, maybe that would be kind of crazy. But that's pretty much all I see on it. So I think that's pretty much it for the gear sets. Am I tripping? No, final measure is perfect. Leave final measure as is. I don't have no nerfs or buff for that. Final measure is really good and really balanced. I see nothing broken. I see nothing not strong enough. Final measure does exactly what it's supposed to do. So that's a given. And yeah, that's pretty much, I think that's it. I'm not missing no gear sets. Let me make sure. Yeah, so you guys have my input on it. What about the gear sets I think works, what doesn't, what's in a good place, what's not a good place. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what gear set and what change you would change. If I gave you a developer's job for a day, what would you change about the gear sets? And let us know below. I'm really curious to see what ideas did I not speak on that you guys have, and that would be actually pretty dope. And let me know if you guys, let me know what your favorite one out of the ones that I personally thought of that would work. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much, man. It's been real. I know this has been kind of a long video, but I want to drive discussion on this because this is something that, you know, the communities come together and talk about, and maybe we can get some buzz and get some ideas into the developers' ears so that they can make some of these things happen to make Division lit. You know what I'm saying? So thank you guys so much, man. I appreciate you guys. 35K gang coming up, man. I love y'all so much. Subscribe if you're new. Comment, man. Get that discussion. Reply to people. Let them know what you think, man. Drop a like. I appreciate it. Your boy is out.